All right, well, here we go. This is a special director's audio commentary for the Journey to Lucidity that I myself, Brendan, am doing, aka Wolf Shield within the film, aka Skull Babylon on the side. And never really done a director's commentary before. This will be interesting. I feel there's a lot of stuff I could talk about, but I obviously literally won't be able to tell you everything. But what I would like to be able to do is sort of give you some background information, some additional branches on like how this story actually came to be, and just like some additional info about whatever it is, like the people who I was running into. But yeah, we'll just sort of go with this. I'm gonna try and do this in a one take idea, as if I'm literally just chilling out here watching it with you guys. So here it begins. Journey to Lucidity, the planted seed. So interesting thing right off the start. The planted seed was actually not the original title for this. The original title is The Waking Dream, but a big part of this film was me going through this very intense lesson of like learning to let go of a preconceived idea that I sort of had of what I wanted the film to ideally be, in a sense. And what did come out of that at its core is actually what you're seeing right here is this scene, is the introduction scene. And this is like the only scene really, minus a couple other, that was sort of pre-planned. And this was the original first scene in my original idea, setting up this concept of like a person waking up under a tree, not totally remembering stuff, and then like this goddess figure coming and introducing him to this world, and allowing the audience to sort of come through with that understanding that like they themselves are like experiencing this too. So like, you know, put yourself in the place of what I am myself in the film. But as you've probably heard me say before, like this is our journey. So it was interesting. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this film, obviously, and if you've seen it before, which presumably obviously makes sense, you know there's a lot of interesting stuff that comes up just about our relationship and our thoughts. A lot of like really unique thoughts come through in this film through the people who I meet along the way. So that first person was Leela. She was wonderful, and there's a story behind that. And that, of course, is Patty Universe, the beautiful Patty Universe, and a lot of people would recognize her from the video Shit New Age Girls Say. And yeah, she was pretty viral for that. So my tent was actually just like set up like right next to hers, and also to Jesse. And Jesse is the fellow who you see in the next couple shots, who I do all the martial arts stuff with. And yeah, so Patty's awesome, and Jesse is also a super cool dude, and that's a super magical dog that they have. So there's Jesse, and again, like this was in terms of the story behind like how this turned out. These shots that play out through the film are not necessarily in a linear order, which is representative of like that dreamlike state. As I explain here, it's kind of like this idea of putting the audience in a situation where they're like, wait, is this supposed to be a dream? And then it never really gets answered at the end, but that's the whole point, is that like this reality is a dream in itself, is the message. So it's as a documentary goes, I was really happy with what got accomplished here. I feel like what I did is something that's never really been done in this sort of way, where it's a real thing, it's real people, but the scenario going into it is like sort of like this setting a scene for a stage play. Like, and that scene is simply me walking around with a pine cone asking people, and yeah, and then my additional story is like interwoven throughout that montage of the pine cone stuff that we see throughout. So basically, a lot of how this turned out, what you're seeing here, this footage, this was actually on the second day of the festival. And the first day of the festival, there's some stuff that I got, but the first day of the festival when I was there, that was really hard for me, because it was very overwhelming in a lot of sense. Just when I was like, all right, time to get filming, and I was like, oh crap, like, you know, like, oh, I don't think this is exactly going to work how I thought it was going to work. And then still going through with making that first scene, the intro scene that you saw. And then after that, just making the choice to be like, all right, I just got to do stuff, and I'll know that I'll edit it later in a non-linear sense, and it will make sense in a way that will, you know, I just got to like trust the process. and also have confidence in my own editing skills. And yeah, so this shot here of me up on the tree, like that's actually the third morning. That was the third day, in the first thing in the morning. I'm just like, I just gotta climb, because we had our tent right next to this huge hill, and I'm just like, I just gotta climb that hill, man. Just gotta climb that hill. And then I did, and I found a sweet tree, and then I was like, all right, you know, what am I doing here? And then I recorded all these, this part here, where it's me like saying, it was creating a scenario before I didn't originally have these shots planned. But doing that actually allowed me to continue like this setup of the story, for me to be self-reflective and being like, you know, like be like, yeah, like I think I'm in a dream, but I'm not really sure. Like I don't know how I got here. Like that scenario, right? Opposed to just what it would be if it was just like not that, and in which case it would just be like, hi everybody, like I came from London, Ontario, Canada, traveled here for the festival, and now it's the first day of the festival. ... But like this is just like I like appeared here, right? In the same sense that the audience is just like brought into this place. So really intrinsic, synchronistic stuff throughout this movie. Just before this, you hear me talking to Jesse. I'm like, blank slate, tabula rasa. Like, teach me what you have to teach me. And just as I say that, that lady there who was talking on stage, if you go back and listen, was talking about like letting go of the ego and just like nothing happens without a purpose. Anyways, this kid was awesome. Obviously, I mean, child of the future. Right there, but yeah, he was just standing around and we were both listening. So I'm just like, because I have a good relationship with kids. I mean, some of you know I actually I dress up as superhero characters for kids' birthday parties as a job on weekends. And in the past, I've actually helped out at a free school camp that was like for kids, about kids his age. And yeah, it was like a project through the Goodwill bookstore that we had going on, and teaching kids about like crystals and intuition and virtues and all sorts of cool stuff, and getting them meditating. So yeah, it was important for me to have a young kid at some point in the movie. And when I was filming, there was actually points where I ran into like a mother with her kids, and I was talking to them. I was like, oh yeah, if I see you guys again, like I can film you, you can be in the movie if you want. And just never ran into them. So happy at least I got that out of it. That there, if you look real quick, there's a bracelet that I have on, and it's got this little token on it. That was very interesting. That was after. That was during the first day, where I just like had to like, I was just walking away from the camera for a while. I'm just like, I just gotta put down this camera and I gotta experience this festival before I come back to trying to film it, so I can understand it first. And then I went out and I just like met these cool groups of guys, and yeah, they gave me that like pendant to like welcome me into like their social circle. And if those guys, I never found out, I never remained in contact with those guys unless they got me on Facebook. So if you're part of the guys who gave me the bracelet for the Crunk Portal tribe, feel free to message me in the future. But those guys are cool. So at this point, you know, obviously just sort of doing my intro and stuff, but yeah, like it was a really big challenge for me, and there was a lot to this film that, if some of you remember during the setup, there was actually originally the plan was actually for Little Panda. So some of you know Little Panda. She's a musician. For her to actually be in the movie, and she was actually there. She was there with me, and she was there like kind of as my production assistant. But she actually she was kind of unsick for a little bit of it, and we didn't even end up seeing too much of her. And so in that result, like, she's not in the movie, but I just want to give a huge shout out to her just in general. And she was, her being there actually did affect like how things unfolded, which was part of the lesson and stuff. But no, I just wanted to express that gratitude. And then speaking of gratitude, this is our buddy Nathaniel Mahanomi. And so I stayed at his house before we actually went to the festival, and that was a great experience in itself. And so I told him about like this whole setup. I'm like, you know, let me bounce these ideas off you. And I originally told him like the original, like full drawn out story. And but at the very core of it, like I said, it's this pinecone idea. So it was cool just to know that we talked earlier, and just to walk up to him and just be like, yo, Nathaniel, like game time, right? I didn't have to explain the camera. He knew what was up. And yeah, I think he gives a pretty good introduction of it right there, where he's just like, this is you know. So I mean, that was the pinecone thing really worked out great. I was really happy with how that worked out, because that was sort of this skeleton that I was building the movie around. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go around, ask these people about the pinecone, and then I'm gonna use that as like a montage throughout a variety of other stuff that I'm gonna kind of do as my like gonzo journalism style. And yeah, it's got you all figured out. So anyways, that's the that's again that's where the hill I climbed up in, and you can see the mountains there. Absolutely beautiful location. This was in Santa Barbara, California, and yeah, like other than the festival, there's just mountains for quite a while, quite a lot of mountains. So just I'm just kind of going over my notes because there's more people who show up in the film, and I gotta be able to give them shout outs. The shout outs are due, and the full credit list, it can be found at the Facebook page, facebook.com/journey2lucidity. And so anyways, this stuff here, like me doing sort of my martial arts, like just like Jedi training type stuff, like that, there was actually a lot more to it than that, and it just wasn't on film. Like I was doing like backflips and stuff at one point, and it just never got on film because I was originally doing it as just training. Because like on the first day, I was like, all right, before I actually begin filming, I'm just gonna like go to the Warriors Temple and just like prepare myself. And then I did that, and then I actually like came back and did it again, like with the camera and stuff, which is like what you're seeing this time. Or the second time I went is the second time when I went with Jesse, which is what you see in the beginning of the movie when he first gives me the swords. We're like on our way to the Warrior Temple at the beginning of the second day, rather. So yeah, that's right. That was the beginning of the second day where I'm just like, I just needed. Well, the first day I did, and then the second day I did it. But anyways, so getting the GoPro stuff in there, that was really cool. I'm looking forward to working more with that in the sequel. And of course, the GoFundMe for that is up, and you owning and listening to this, if you are listening to this on DVD, though, I'm probably going to release this audio track just like through the blog talk and YouTube maybe afterwards. But yeah, like the support for the GoFundMe page for the sequel is up, and people can check that out at gofundme.com/journey2lucidity. Spread the word, greatly appreciated. So there's us doing Sadu. That was a really important thing for me to have in like this martial arts training game, where it was, for me, it's always been such a fluid thing. It's such a dynamic thing, and like the basic rule, of course, is he's trying to touch my chin and I'm trying to touch his chin. So in all this, like I'm blocking, like he's not getting through, which is pretty intense because he was coming at me. Like if you saw there, like Jesse's he didn't hold back, and he doesn't hold back later. When we were just like playing too, when you see that later in the film as well. So here's another person, and this person's actually Ryan, and he's friends with Jesse, and that's part of why you see them training as well. I mean, a lot of the people who are at these festivals, they know each other, they've met each other through other festivals, and just through being in part of the conscious community. So obviously there's a lot of amazing people there at the festival, and that's why I knew like this pinecone thing would be such an interesting thing to do, knowing that I wasn't just looking for one specific answer, but I knew that there was an infinite amount of ways that we could be talking about the same thing from a different perspective. So pinecone works as a great metaphor for that, and yeah, he sort of says, you know, the microcosm, the macrocosm, it either is everything or it's just like a simple pinecone sort of thing. But you can yeah, you can check out stuff for Ryan at mtnryanrion.com. Feel free to check that out. But yeah, so in addition, that, like this part here, that was very synchronistic for me, for this image to be in the Warriors arena, which again was like the place I was sort of naturally drawn to, resonating with, and for the picture of the wolf, and this wolf mother, I was just like, all right, you know, that really helped me sync up. That helped me be like, all right, you know, like I'm here to like do this, I'm here to accomplish this objective that I have of creating this movie. Because there was a point where I was just like, I was just like, crap, is this gonna even work at all, you know? But yeah, I regained my confidence and got back out there and stuff. Ran into this guy, Raw. This is actually footage from, I guess, yeah, this is on the second day. This is still on the second day. But the first night I ran into him, and we were doing like crazy martial arts stuff in front of like all these fancy lights and everything. And again, like that was a lot of stuff that I'm like, I wanted it to be on film, but it was like too real to be on film. But I'm glad it happened, and I hope to get more of that in the sequel as well, to go back and learn. So anyways, he was hooking me up with the coconut milk right there, coconut water rather, and yeah, that was delicious. Like that was real. I'm just like, I just wanted to show me eating it, with the idea that maybe the audience could like taste it while watching that, you know? Maybe think about that next time you watch it. So let's see. Okay, yeah, of course, the hula hoopers. That's like the girl right here on the left. She's got two of them. I wish I filmed her more. She's like going back. I'm just like, whoa, that's intense. So this is pretty common. What was going on there? There's a lot of like this just sort of like very fluid dancing. I mean, the dancing that you see at festivals like this is so odd. Like there's such a range to it. And oh, there's a shot later of a couple girls who are dancing, and yeah, like I just see it and I'm just like in awe of just like the beauty in general, just like the human expression and stuff. And you see a lot of that here as well, obviously. And there's a throughout the festival I just like film random dogs. I'm just like, yeah, I'll just throw these dog shots in later. So that was one of them. So these people here, these are, yeah, these stilt animal performers. They're part of Animal Cracker Conspiracy, and they have a Facebook page is Solstice Parade, and you can check that out. But they were just I'm just, so this is an example of this point. This was on this would have been on the first day. No, this is on the second day. This is still on the second day, and I was just like walking around, and I was just like, oh, random people on stilts acting as animals. Here we go. All right. And then, of course, sort of seeing something like this and thinking about, like, you know, this is a very dreamlike thing that's happening right here. Like, this is very unusual. You know, these creatures, these humans pretending to be these creatures, and the music and stuff. So, obviously, like, their performance is relating to like the theme of the Lucidity Festival. And of course, like I'm gonna be giving plenty of shoutouts to like Lucidity Festival in general, because some big parts coming up just with Jonah and stuff. But this guy here, Tony Moss, he was a cool dude. So I saw him talking on the first day or the second day, or this was on the third day. It all sort of blends together. This was on the third day, I'm pretty sure. But I saw him talking. I knew he was involved with some stuff, and I just wanted to. I'm just like, oh, you know, I gotta ask this guy, and he gives a really good explanation here, because he actually talks about how the seed expands when it's hot. A lot of people sort of forget about that of pine cones. Like, you look inside of a pine cone, like that blackness inside of it, like that's from like the heat. That's actually like burning, and then that is how like he's explaining like how that. Pine cones, you know, they reforest when they get burnt down. They reforest themselves, but also just like that as a metaphor for like when we're going through those tough times in life, those actually like help us transform even more so. So yeah, you can check out him. His Facebook page is Luminous Kiss, and he's also the founder for I Am Life, and you can go to Love Amp Project on Facebook. So anyways, so this song, the performer that the girls were playing, that I thought that was just a cool thing. Like the fact that there was even just a piano there, just in the middle of nowhere, like that was just like what the festival is about, right? Just encouraging people to just express themselves and to wander throughout these villages, because that was a big part of the story as well. That well, a big part of the experience that never really fully got in the festival. It's set up in villages, so the Warriors Arena is one, and then there's a variety of others. But so this girl here, she's really cool. I again, she's one of the people who I don't know who she is. If people know who she is, feel free to message me on Facebook. And she just gave a great answer where you know, we're just talking, and she was actually the first person who I just like straight up just went up and talked to, because like I knew her greenness was just very like fairy like, you know, just so anyways, she played that well. Like that was just what you can sort of get from this festival, where you just sort of spontaneously go up to someone and tell them like, hey, like improvise, like we're in a play, like, but still be yourself and stuff like that, because the camera sort of does that. And when you ask something like, is this a dream, the answer you get is kind of particular. But this shot here, this is like absolutely one of my favorite shots in the movie. Just beautiful girl like doing her hooping, and she's actually part of the part of the Electric Fairies, and you can check out the electricfairies.com. She's Erin. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, just shout out to her. That was like just a beautiful moment that I was happy to capture, like with the sunset, of course. Shout out to the sun. So this is what I hear. Scotty Wells, this guy is a pretty cool dude as well. He's given some nice talks, and he's got a YouTube and in this whole thing that he's doing called Digital Gorillas. And yeah, he's out in California, and very similar to just, you know, he knew where I was coming from with making this video and wanting to document this project. And he gave a really cool answer here. You know, he's talking about like the alchemist, like being able to like go to the other side, but like choosing to be here. Like, I mean, that's, you know, you hear him talking about it and stuff. But he was just a really good energy. And it's funny because you see him at the end of the movie too, in the very closing ceremony, and he was just like, he came up beside me, and what he says after I say something, I thought was just perfect. And then this was cool, this was important for me. So right here I'm like, all right, he's a good guy, I gotta show him the special soul shake. So I'm like, point him down like 45 degree, and then there you go. And so this thing here, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to use this movie to show as many people as I can this handshake, knowing that some of them will like actually continue to use it. And that was something that was passed on to me, and I just thought it was really cool. So I just wanted to be able to share it with more people.